Hello, everyone. This is Maxine with the Metanoia Life, and today we are continuing the conversation. And my special guest today is Deb Runji. And I met Deb just recently, actually, when I was in the academy, Lighthouse Academy, and Deb was one of the coaches. And Deb has such a giving heart. I was really inspired by her while we were on that journey. So let me just tell you a little bit about her. She is a missionary, but before she was a missionary to Haiti, she went through the Celebrate Recovery ministry. So she became a ministry leader with that ministry. Deb is 28 years sober, so she will tell you a little bit about her journey. And a year into that program, she gave her life to the Lord. And it's been a pretty strong road from there, I think.
Yes.
She,
God's been working all
yes,
along.
she's also an author, and the name of her book is Recover Your Mission,
Recover your mission.
Recover Your Mission, How a Drunk from Wisconsin Became a Missionary to Haiti. And she'll tell you more about that for sure.
Yes.
Deb, put your book up so they can see the cover.
Okay, sure. This is my book. Let's see if we can make this work here. It's called Recover
Recover
Your
Your
Mission.
Mission. And is that
And
available on Amazon?
it's available on Amazon, or if you wanted to go to my website, which is recoveryourmission.org, that will direct you to Amazon too, and it'll get you on my mailing list too, if you
Oh,
so desire.
wonderful. Yes. So welcome, Deb. And it's a pleasure to have you here today so we can talk about gratitude and
Yes.
how our hearts are filled with gratitude. Mine is, especially for what he has done in your life. So tell us a little bit about where you were coming from and what led you to Haiti as a missionary.
Yes. So, as Maxine said, I am a recovering alcoholic. And, you know, I could say, oh, yes, I went on this terrible road and all that, which I did. But to be honest with you, I have 28 years, almost 29. I'll be 29 years in January. But I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to be in recovery
Yes.
because I have a life now as opposed to not having a life or living a life of uncertainty, a life of, hopelessness
Mhm.
and all of the things. And, I went very wayward before I got into recovery because I went through a divorce and I got married very young. So when I went through this divorce, it was my time, I thought, to be free and do what I wanted to do, right? And it just got out of control. So for about a 4 to 5 year period after my divorce, I I drank every day. Like I never missed a day. Okay. And about halfway through that time, someone introduced me to drinking in the morning. I always waited until 5 o'clock, but someone introduced me to that. And then that really was when it really took over and consumed my life. And just to give you a little taste of what that was like. So, what would I say would be my lowest? I would get up every morning and I would say to myself, I am not going to drink today. I'm not going to do it. And within a half an hour, I would be pouring that first drink. And then I would leave to take my kids to daycare with a drink in my dash of my car,
My
go into
goodness.
work, come home at lunch, drink some more, go back to work with a drink in the dash of my car, pick my kids up from daycare, come home and drink on into oblivion. Blacking out very frequently, all those things, but I never thought I had a problem. However, as you can imagine, that was not sustainable.
Yes.
And I finally reached my bottom when I woke up from a blackout in a very precarious situation. And just, I just said, God, I don't know what's wrong with me. There's something, I don't know what to do. And that was a catalyst of me calling a local treatment facility and not admitting that I was an alcoholic at that point, but just saying I had a problem
Yes.
and I needed some help. And then I had to take an assessment as a result of that. And this assessment had 5 criteria. And if you met two, after you answered all these questions, most of them being about how much I was drinking, if you had met two, you were considered to be an alcoholic. Well, guys, I met four.
Oh, wow.
And I started to cry. I'm like, I'm really an alcoholic. But today, the fact that I'm a recovering alcoholic is the best thing that ever happened to me in my entire life, right? And so, as I look at gratitude, I am so grateful that God took me down that path because I wouldn't be where I am today if I did not go through all the crazy things I went through in my life to bring me to where I am today. And honestly, I guess I am a recovering alcoholic, but really the catalyst, the what really was the motivator behind that was growing up in a dysfunctional home,
Mm,
growing up in an alcoholic home. And when you grow up in an alcoholic home, you don't really realize that the way your family operates is not
not,
normal.
yeah,
Right? And so you think you're normal because you're just in the family system and you look at other people and say, well, what's wrong with them? Like, for example, I would go to my friends' houses and we'd be in their kitchen and I'd open the fridge and I'd be like, where's all your beer? Like, because my refrigerator with the top shelf was full of my dad's stash, right? So I thought they were abnormal instead of me.
yes,
So and so that just led me down this path of making bad choices, making bad decisions as far as relationships, because I had unresolved issues with my father,
yeah,
and he was the alcoholic. And so there are so many things that happen, and so many things now that I recognize that were dysfunctional and that were not normal,
no,
right? And so you mentioned the academy, Lighthouse Academy. That was another big, huge catalyst. But being a person in recovery, once I got the fact that I could get some answers to the craziness of my life, I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is not a bad thing. This is a good thing,
yes,
right? Because I'm finally understanding that certain things that happened were not normal.
yes,
And certain things that happened really required me to forgive and realize that that isn't the way to be, right? But until I got into recovery and, started to look at those things, I I had no clue. And so
yes,
drinking was my coping mechanism for all those issues from childhood. And
yes.
when I share my testimony a lot, and when I talk about this, I use the example of an iceberg, right? So if you imagine an iceberg, an iceberg sticks up out of the water. The tip of the iceberg is really big, and you can see that and go, "Whoa, it's an iceberg." And in the case of my life, the tip of the iceberg was my alcoholism, right?
Mhm.
It's what people could see. They
See,
knew I was a drunk. They knew I had issues. But if you've ever seen what an iceberg actually looks like, that tip is sticking up, but underneath the surface is a big blob.
yes,
In the case
yes,
of an iceberg, it's ice, but in the case
yes,
of recovery, it's all my other issues, right? And I was like, oh my goodness, there's so many things underneath there that are dysfunctional.
yes.
And I still, 28, almost 29 years later, I'm still working on those things
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I had to become real about them. And for whatever reason, I chose to like be very loyal to my dysfunctional parents. So because I was so loyal, I couldn't look at like what happened and how it affected me until probably COVID actually was when I kind of spiraled down. And because of COVID, I was in Haiti. I was a missionary, and what am I going to do? Am I going to stay there? Am I going to leave? And then I did get a flight out, but when I got into the US, nobody wanted me.
Oh no.
because of COVID. They were all afraid, right? This was
Afraid.
March 2020. And
Yes.
I'm in Florida with no place to go, no money, no nothing. And I'm like, God, what am I gonna do? So that meltdown was actually a beautiful thing because that's when I began to really dig deep
Mm,
and really look at a lot of things I had avoided for many years. I lived in PTSD. I lived in fight or
yeah.
flight. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm in fight or flight. So what? That's normal.
No.
It's just my way of being, right? But that was not working well for me, right? And so, and how I got involved in Haiti. So there's a lot of backstory to that too. And a lot of this I cover in my book. I talk
Mhm.
a lot about my testimony in my book, but so I was in recovery, not a believer, and but realizing that, okay, this whole higher power thing that they talk about, like in AA and all of that, like that's not working for me. I need to figure out who God is, but the God I knew was going to send me to hell because I could never qualify,
Bye.
right? So but I started going back to church but I would hear these people, hear them give invitations to accept Christ. And I'd be like, oh, no, no, again, I don't qualify because I'm not cleaned up enough. I'm not sober enough. I'm not whatever. I'm not you fill in the blank enough. So
Yeah.
forget that, right? But God has his ways, right? And so he led me down this path where I really acted out in a bad way in my recovery. I didn't drink, but emotionally.
Yeah.
And that was the catalyst that, sent me to this place of God, I want to drink, but I don't want to
But you
drink.
don't want to drink. Yes.
Exactly. And then I realized it was a Saturday night, and the church service that I was going to was a Saturday night. And so I'm like, oh, if I go to church, I won't drink there. So I went to church and I don't remember a word about the message, but they gave an invitation. And this was my point where I just said, like they gave the invitation. It was an invitation where you're supposed to raise your hand, to indicate you wanted to pray the prayer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I should do that. But if I raise my hand, people are going to see me. If I
Yeah.
raise my hand, they're going to know. But before I could decide, my hand started going up and I'm like, oh my gosh, my hand's going up. But here's what I know. I prayed that prayer and something happened to me. It was like the
I know.
Holy Spirit came down on me. I'm like, whoa, something just happened to me. I have no idea. But I could sense I was different. It was like the bad day was gone. I felt free. And
Yeah.
then as I was walking out of church that night is when I had this profound revelation that I had just been forgiven
Wow.
of
Wow.
everything I had done. And trust me when I tell you, it was a lot.
You
It
just
was a lot.
unburdened.
Yes. And I'm like walking out of church, I'm like, I'm so clean right now. I don't want to do anything because I don't want to get dirty again. Right. So, and I was about a year sober at that time. And so that led me down this path and making amends with my father, all of that. But then there was a tragedy that happened because my father ended up taking his own life,
Oh dear.
which was, let's see, I got saved in January. He took his life that following March. And
Mm.
everybody thought I would relapse. And this became the defining moment of my faith where I said, God, I can't do this.
Yeah.
God, you need to help me. God, I surrender. Right. And so that's when I surrendered, right? And completely, like I had gotten saved and all that happened, but this was the moment where I just said,
But
take my life, Lord,
could
Lord.
can you imagine that if you hadn't done that in January, you
Oh,
probably would have relapsed
I
because
do
you would
believe
not
so.
have had the Lord to fall back on and to be
Yeah.
really reach out to him in that special way.
Yes, I agree 100%. And God that I was,
Yeah.
And so then that became, that's a very difficult thing to have to deal with. I
Yes.
praise God, I made those amends with my father
Before.
uh,
Hmm.
because I would have really regretted
Yeah.
that. I
Yes.
mean, but we had no idea. We had no idea that he was so in this place of desperation or despair or anything. There were no outward signs. So it came as an absolute shock to
But
our family.
but don't you think that he'd been dealing with that this whole time? And that's the reason
Probably. I
why
mean,
he was
in
drinking?
hindsight, looking
Yeah.
back, yeah, because, when I made the amends with my father, there was something I noticed. And what it was emptiness, like in his eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I was just grateful to have the opportunity. I mean, I didn't want to make those amends, to be really honest with you, because I didn't think he would want to. But the Lord really pushed me to go do it. And I'm very grateful that I did because I had that opportunity to make those amends. And I would have had a lot of regret
Yes,
if I wouldn't have done the hard thing, right? Done
definitely.
the hard thing that the Lord was basically pushing me to do, right?
Yes,
But that was so devastating, so devastating. It still is devastating. Suicide is a devastating
it is.
thing. It
It
is, I mean, I get being that person that might be in desperation because I have been in that place, but I never thought about it from the other side. Like from my side now as a survivor
yeah.
of someone else's suicide. It's a devastating, horrific
Oh,
place
it's
to
almost
be.
like abandonment.
Yes, it's the biggest abandonment you could ever experience
Yeah,
because it's like they took themselves out of the equation,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
And
I was
it's like you didn't mean anything to them that they wanted to do that
almost and like I was because I made those amends, I really thought I was going to finally have a relationship with my
relationship.
father.
Yeah,
And then he took that away. So it was the biggest
yeah,
abandonment and rejection I could have ever experienced. It
yeah,
was the biggest. And so it was devastating. And praise God I did not relapse, but it was a catalyst for me to move forward and to really just go all out in my faith and continue on and on the journey of understanding and knowing the Lord.
yeah,
And I still made bad decisions after that, because I got married and that was not probably the right thing to do because I had that woundedness
hmm,
from my father that I never truly healed. So because I had that woundedness from my father, I attracted men like my father.
yes, yes.
And that was not good.
But you
Ah,
see, people make the mistake to think that, okay, we give our lives to the Lord and we do become a new creation immediately. But it takes time for us to
Says everything
yes,
and
and to
heal.
change our minds,
Yes.
mindsets, our habits. So it's a journey that takes time.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I was very loyal to my dysfunctional parents because I loved them, even though they were dysfunctional. I loved them in whatever way I could, but I was loyal to the dysfunction. So because I was loyal to that, I didn't deal with it
Yeah.
until a lot of years later, right? And until, like I said, I started dealing with it in 2020 because I had a meltdown
Yeah.
because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful, talking about gratitude, I'm grateful that I had that meltdown. Was it fun? No. Was it life changing?
The
Ultimately,
thing is,
yes.
God knows what we need when we need it.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. So when
And
I had,
things like that is not ever things that we would pray and ask for,
no,
but they
exactly.
come.
Exactly. So, did I want to melt down? I mean, I just like really melted down, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Again, I did not turn to alcohol, but it was an emotional
Yeah.
relapse,
Yeah.
right? And so that put me on this journey, and ultimately that journey of healing led me to Lighthouse Academy. And now I went through that myself, and I'm a coach in that. And God is radically still, oh my goodness, changing my life. And then most recently, I had another devastating thing happen to me too. I'm sitting here with a cast on my
Oh,
leg because I broke my ankle in a silly thing because I was stepping over a dog gate and I tripped and fell and broke my ankle in three places.
oh dear.
And I'm like, I am a go-getter. I am a person who does not stop. I have been in the bed for the last 3, 4 weeks, and it is very challenging. But I will say, the Lord takes those challenging times
Yeah,
and He uses them for good,
he sure does.
because the Lord is showing up and showing out in me, in my life, in what He's teaching me, in what I'm learning, what's really, because I was a go-getter, right? So maybe go-getters can relate to this because I'm always on the move, always doing, always traveling, always driving, always this, always sharing my testimony, always, da 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 da. Da. And when you get put in the bed and you can't even like take care of yourself, you know, like you gotta have help, like
Yes.
like going taking a shower and stuff like this where you've been so independent for most of your life. It's like,
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. but but God, right? And
Yeah.
so this is where I will say I'm grateful for
Yes.
being in this position. I can't believe I'm saying that because it is the most difficult position probably I've almost ever been in. I mean, whew, it's tough. But praise God, like I am in where this happened is a friend of mine. I had only planned to stay here for 2 nights. I was there for one night. The second night, or that second day, I fell. I was supposed to fly out the next day. That was not happening. And so she's a nurse practitioner. It's like the most ideal place I could
God knew
have.
where to have you land.
But yet she's been such a blessing, and it gets me weepy to think that she has done so much for me. And I mean, I'm a giver. Obviously as a missionary, I give to the people I serve, and I always am giving, and it's so interesting to be on the receiving side
Yeah.
now,
Yes.
because again comes back to gratitude, comes back to when you have circumstances like this, and let's just say I had this happen and I was in a place that wasn't very nice, right? I mean, like, you could have somebody that's doesn't treat you well, or
Yes.
be upset because you need help, and
Yes.
then these kinds of things. But it's not like that. In fact, I feel guilty because, like, she's so kind. And I'm like, oh
Well, I
Lord,
think the Lord is teaching you to receive
exactly.
because a lot
I
of
would
us don't know how to receive. We're givers and givers. We're always giving out, but time
exactly.
for you to receive and be filled up too.
Yeah. Yeah. So interestingly enough, during this time I'm coaching too. So I'm coaching from the bed, right? Or, in a position that is not always comfortable, but again, I'm doing it because I know I see what the Lord's showing me as a result. And it's like, it's amazing. It's incredible. It's like I I can't even put words to it. It's just I'm speechless, and that's kind of not something that
Not
happens
you.
very often.
So tell us a little bit about how you ended up in Haiti as a missionary.
Yeah. So, okay. So I became a believer, my dad's death happened. It was very devastating. I ended up quitting my full-time job. And then a friend of mine invited me to hear this singer. And this singer sang about his mission trips to Haiti. And I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but like as I was sitting there listening to him, it was like bells and whistles were going off in me. Like, I need to go there. I need to go there. I don't even know where Haiti is exactly, but I just know I need to go. So now I have about 2 years of sobriety now, right? And then as the guy finishes, he's like, if you any of you would like to go on a short-term mission trip to Haiti, see me after the service. So I'm like, I'm gonna go
Make a
see him after
beeline.
the service. But I'm like, hey, I would love to go to Haiti, but I don't have any money because I also quit my job as a result of all of this because I hated my job. I'd been in it for 20 years. And when you have a devastating thing like that happen, you reevaluate your life and you're like,
Yes,
why am I doing something I
exactly.
don't want to do?
Yes.
Right. And so I'm like, I don't have any money. He's like, well, you can fundraise. I'm like, okay, I'll fundraise. And I've raised the funds to go on that very first mission trip. That would have been January of 1998. And once I went on that first trip, I like to say I got bit by the Haiti bug. I had to keep going back. I started leading teams for my church. I started sponsoring children, and it just became the thing I did. It was kind of what I was known for. And so I had my recovery and then I had my mission trips, right? And then in 2010, maybe you remember, there was a horrific earthquake
Yes. Yes.
in Haiti. And I was on a short-term mission trip in the epicenter of the
Wow.
earthquake, in the middle of it all. And I was just like devastated. First of all, I mean, over 200,000 people lost their lives in that
Yes.
earthquake, right?
Yes.
And we're there, right? We're seeing this death everywhere, destruction everywhere. And I came back and I'm like, God, Haiti needs recovery. Haiti needs celebrate recovery. But if I'm supposed to do that, that's like way too big for me. If I'm supposed to do that, you're gonna have to do that. And so I surrendered it over to the Lord. I went about my business. That following October, a Haitian pastor came to my Celebrate Recovery in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And the Lord said, Deb, you have a Haitian pastor here. You need to talk to him. So I went up to him. I said, hey, what do you think of this? He's like, it's great. When are you coming? I was like, okay. So I'm like, let's just talk about this a little bit. But the bottom line is that following at the 1 year anniversary of the earthquake, I was back in Haiti doing my very first Celebrate Recovery seminars.
Wow.
So that would have been in January of 2011. And then in January 2015, I moved to Haiti full time as a missionary with that goal of bringing Celebrate Recovery to Haiti. I'm an independent missionary. I'm not part of any organization.
Organization.
I've
Hmm.
created my own organization. I just went because God called me. And so today, that's what I do. I mean, I haven't because I don't know if you know much about what's happening in Haiti currently, but it is full of political unrest,
Yes.
gang violence, kidnapping. It's horrible.
Mm.
But I'm not there because of that, because I don't want to put my staff in jeopardy, right? Because I have been there because Haiti's always tumultuous, right? And I have been there in the middle of this gang violence, but I have been out of Haiti for over a year because of it, because I feel like I would be a threat
Yeah,
to
you
my
don't want to
staff.
call attention to
Exactly.
yourself.
And here's the amazing thing. So, because I've been there since 2015, I've been able to teach my staff what to do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really how it should be anyway. Like it shouldn't have been dependent on me. I mean, it's like, what is that? You don't, you can either feed a man a fish or you can teach him how to
How to fit.
fish. Right. And so we've taught them what to do. And, it was a little scary for me, I'll be honest, because I'm not going back. Lord, did they grab the vision? Did they grab the vision? And they did. And so they're moving forward in the middle of gang violence, in the middle of all
Wow.
this stuff that is going on. We have 4 Celebrate Recoveries up and running now, 2 of them
Oh,
right in Port-au-Prince, which is the worst area.
yes.
And it's only God. And And what I believe, what Celebrate Recovery does, I mean, it's not just for drugs and alcohol, it's for anything. We call it any hurt, habit, or hang up in your life.
Okay.
So anything in your life that keeps you from being who God created you to be. So
Yeah.
for me, like when I introduce myself, what I would typically say is, my name is Deb. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ who has experienced victory over alcoholism. However, I still struggle with codependency. I'm an adult child and alcoholic, anger, grief, loss, PTSD, and the list goes on, right? Because the more you discover
Over.
about yourself, the more issues you find out you have, right? And so, but God has been so faithful to heal me, or at least get me on a path of healing
Yes.
and digging deep, really deep into. And so like today, 28 years later, I'm finally, and even though I have my injury and all that, I'm finally seeing like a lot of the fruit of recovery, the fruit of digging deep, the fruit of, asking the Lord to sift you,
Yeah.
and show you. I mean, like, did I really want to be laid up? Absolutely
No.
not. But it is my reality, right? And so I am trying with everything I have to make the best of it
Hmm.
and to still do what I'm doing from this bed right over here. It's like unbelievable because the need's still there, right?
Yes.
The mission work is still going on. What I would typically be doing is going out and sharing my testimony a lot, and then I sell like Haitian art and jewelry, and then like they'll take a love offering, for the work that we're doing
Yeah.
in Haiti. So that would be a big way that I would have probably raised about half of the funds we need on a monthly basis, and I can't do it.
Well, all things are possible with the Lord.
Yes.
So
And
at
this
this
is
time,
where
you just have to rest in Him.
yes, and trust he sees, he knows,
Knows
he knows the dilemma. It's not a news flash. He's not going, what, Deb? You,
what
you didn't,
happened.
you didn't tell me that you hurt yourself. You didn't tell me that, you know, he's like, Deb, I got you. Right. And
Yeah.
that it's me that's going, God, I hope you got me.
So tell us one of the ways or a few ways that we can help you with this.
Yeah, so of course if you purchase my book, the book online is 16.99 for, the not hard copy, but the paperback version, right? Um so that's a support, but also if you feel the Lord tugging at your heart to donate, you can go to my website. So right now I am on a mission to raise $20,000 by the end of this month.
Okay.
So I've made about a quarter of a dent into that right now. So God is showing up, but it takes others to come alongside. And if you have a giving heart, and truly, Haiti actually is oftentimes misrepresented. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of stuff that's happening in Haiti right now, and you don't know about it. The world doesn't know about
Right.
it. Like
Uh-huh.
they might have heard recently, for example, that gangs were shooting at the planes, the airplanes, right? But what you don't know is what's truly going on the ground. Like Haiti's a country of 11 million people, and about 700,000 of them have been displaced because of the
Because of the
gangs.
violence, yes.
Yes. And what I mean, how that plays out, and this is where you can pray for me too, and for our ministry, because I do believe that it's because of the prayers of people that our ministry has been able to stay safe. I mean, it's not safe truly because this is all going on around
Yeah.
them, but they've been kept safe and they've been able to do what they're able to do. But how this plays out, for example, these 700,000 people, the gangs have come into their area. And what will typically happen is they will put a notice on your door or your gate that says you have a week to get out. A
Wow.
week. And it's not a week where you're going to pack everything up and, take it all with you. No, because right about at that same time, there's probably gunfire going on in the street outside your home. And so you basically grab what you can on your back and you run. And this is the reality
So
of
why why
these.
why are they doing that though? What is their objective?
Uh,
Are they taking
it's
over the homes? I mean,
Yeah, they take over the neighborhoods,
mm,
right? And they cause havoc. They might burn up the area, they might take over a house or like if they, especially like there's some bigger ministries that they've just come in and made that like their base.
yeah,
Or and if you know anything about gang mentality, gangs don't care.
yeah. They
Gangs
don't.
live fatalistically. Gangs will kill you. It doesn't matter to them. They will rape you. They will steal your car. They don't care.
Yeah,
And so it's very sad and it's very, I mean, like I have my staff, which are like my children. I mean, I probably talk to them more than I do my own children because I am connected to them
yeah.
and I'm the fundraiser for them. But I will say we did we calculated, okay, how many people since 2019 to the beginning of 2024, how many people we served in all the things we do.
Hmm.
And that number was 74,000
Wow,
people.
that's
And I was
awesome.
like, did I add that up? Was it really that many people? And it is. And so it's so amazing because the proof is in the testimonies that we see from the
Yes,
people, right? And so and because I haven't been in Haiti for over a year, the Lord has really been giving me the eyes to see, you could say, how He's protected me,
yeah.
in being there. And then I come to the U.S. and I trip over a dog gate. So I, I wish I had some crazy Haiti story that gangs were chasing after me and I fell. No.
No, you want to be protected while you're there. You don't need any crazy stories while you're there.
Right. And so, but I don't know why, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So going back to like if you want to order the book, you can go to the website, or if you want to make a contribution, if you want to connect with me, there's a way to get on my mailing list for like, prayers. So if you want to, get my email updates, which give you things to pray about. I do have a very, very, very specific prayer request. I can't really get into the details of it, but what I will say is I really need prayer covering
Mhm.
for next Thursday. So I don't know when you're going
Okay.
to broadcast this. So this would be the date. Let's look at the date here of what that would be. So that would be the 21st of
Okay.
November, because there's a big thing happening that day. That's all I can say.
Okay.
And it needs prayer
Okay.
because it's a big thing.
Okay. Well,
So.
I'll definitely put it out before then so that we can have people praying. So give us your website again.
Okay, so it's very simple. It's www.recover, RECOVER, your mission, MISSION.org.
Okay, so recoveryourmission.org. So
Mhm.
anyone listening who feels led to give into Deb's ministry to help in Haiti, it's it's go- it's gonna be going to some really, really good
Yes. Is right now we're fundraising for our rent is due, okay, which is $6,000 twice a year. And then we're having Christmas parties. And some people might say, "Oh, why would you like Why would you have Christmas parties?
Oh,
You know,
we have to
but
celebrate Christmas.
yes, it's a big deal in Haiti, and so we give a party, we give them food to eat, we give them dry food to take, and then we give them some practical gifts. And the one thing that also is not talked about in Haiti is there is famine that
Yeah,
is happening in Haiti right now. The people are dying because of this gang violence. Like, so Port-au-Prince, which is where I live, is the hub, right? It's like the central hub, and these gangs have blocked that off. So if you can imagine, like, in a state
can't come
where,
in and
like,
out. Yeah,
yeah, the stuff can't come in and out. Food is exorbitantly expensive, and people don't have the funds to even buy food, you
yes,
know?
yes.
People in the US cannot even
Sadly.
fathom.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that we don't have things here. I mean, I get it. I get, Florida's, been hit. I get that. And North Carolina's been hit. I get that. I get that. But I also understand that you couldn't even imagine what it's like to be a Haitian in the middle of gang violence and not know where to turn.
uh,
It did
having to
not
flee
have
for your
programs
life
of
and
assist. Yeah,
nowhere to go. Yes, definitely.
yeah.
So, Father, we just commit this into your care and into your charge that people listening will sense the need and really reach out to you and give to this ministry. Deb, thank you so much for coming and sharing your heart.
Yes. Thank you
I am
so much for
so
having
grateful,
me.
and I will definitely be praying, and especially for November 21st.
Yes.
And I will wait to hear of the good reports.
Yes. I believe God's going to do some amazing
I
things.
think so. I
And,
really think so.
the people of Haiti need your prayers too.
Yeah,
It is very devastating, and it's a lot about corruption,
yeah,
and all of the things. But the problem is, like, the innocent people, like the innocent people on the bottom, you could say, are the ones that get affected the most,
yes.
you know, and those are the people I reach out to.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today, and we will continue the conversation. I will put Deb's information in the instructions in case you didn't get it here, and so you can reach out to her and help in any way you can. Thank you so much, and we'll be talking again soon.
All
Bye.
right, thanks. Bye.